Hey hoes, welcome back to BlueTube, and this time we're going to be doing something pretty different. Now normally, I always try to make you laugh, but today we're going to be talking about something that's pretty serious and means a lot to me. So if that's not what you're here for and that's not what you want to see, feel free to click on your screen or down in the description below and watch a funnier video. This video is going to be very different than what you've seen so far. There's not going to be a lot of jokes or gags or cutaways, and instead it's going to be just kind of me talking and mainly about my own personal experiences with grief in college. Right before we get started, I do want to make one quick note just to say that this is only going to be about my personal experience, how I've managed to deal with it, and what's helped me. And I'm not going to say that it's guaranteed to help anyone, and I'm not going to talk about any kind of stages or what's proper and the right way to go through it, because there is no true right way to go through grief. Alright, so getting started, I'm just going to kind of give a little bit of backstory as to what's going on with me and why I'm making this for anyone who may not know and be watching this. It is currently the 23rd of May, meaning it is about exactly 4 days away from 2 months of when my dad died. My dad died of a pulmonary embolism on the 27th of March in 2019. I was actually at school when it happened, and when I found out, my mom called me when I was in our dining hall, fun fact, and she didn't want to tell me what was wrong. She was just crying and said I needed to come home right away and to tell my teachers that I wouldn't be there. So I told them, and I went home, and I could kind of tell right away that something was wrong, but I wasn't expecting it to be my dad. So when I got home and my mom told me, it was an odd mix of slight relief that it wasn't who I thought it was going to be, but also complete shock that it was my dad. I kind of still had that childish idea that my dad was invincible and that nothing was ever going to happen to him because he was my dad. So when the news hit me, I didn't know what to feel or even if I should feel anything. The days coming after that were an absolute whirlwind of making arrangements, figuring out what to do, as it was the first time I ever had to do it, and trying to just keep myself busy enough that I wouldn't have to think about how I was feeling, because that would make it real. Part of me still doesn't think it's real. I'll be driving somewhere and on the radio I'll hear a song and think how much my dad would like it and how I need to show it to him, and then it kind of comes back in a wave where I remember I'm not going to be able to. Or it's where as I'm going, I think to myself how I haven't heard from dad in a couple days and I should message him, but of course there's a reason I haven't. After the funeral and the reception and that entire service had concluded, I really thought it was going to be easier for me to put it behind me and to start moving on, which, considering it had only been 8 days, was probably dumb of me to think. The timing of it all really kind of made it worse, only because I then had to go back to school for finals, studying, and all that kind of stuff. So I went back, and that ended up actually helping me. By staying busy, I didn't have time to be sad in a way, so that whenever I started to really feel sad inside, I would just find something else to take my interest away and focus on that. And admittedly, I still do it. Really, that's been my strategy for the most part the entire time in terms of coping with it. I've had finals, the arrangements, moving, everything like that I've used as a way to avoid having to really sit and think about it until just here recently. And now that I'm back home for the summer and I don't have all those things that I'm able to use to keep me so distracted, it's really began to set in. College is, to say the least, a stressful transition. Having an event like this certainly has made me really begin to look at life as a whole and to sort of reassess how I feel about a lot of things. But I don't think that that's a bad thing. Over the last few days, it's become more real for me. I have started going through these different coping mechanisms and trying to find what really works for me. And surprisingly, talking about it is not one of them. I know that that is usually the number one thing that is suggested, to talk about it and get your feelings out. And I'm sure for a lot of people it does work. But I do think that talk therapy or talking in general doesn't work for everyone. For some people, like me, what I've actually found to work is writing, where my feelings are still mine and I don't feel as vulnerable putting myself out there to other people, but I'm still facing my own emotions and putting them into a healthy way of getting them out. Which I believe is exactly what talk therapy is meant to do. That same idea of being able to face what you feel and get them out is what is being truly helpful for me. It's just that talking about it and going face to face or even over the phone or through text, for me, doesn't help. It makes me feel worse. And there's nothing wrong with that. Well, I hope there's nothing wrong with that. From searching for resources and ideas for coping mechanisms online, I think there's a lot of people who truly believe that talking is the only way to help, and it's important to know that it's not. I think just like there's no one right way to feel grief, there's no one right way to cope with grief. And the more and more people try to force the idea of this is how you're supposed to do it, the more and more isolated certain people will. So, if you are going through grief right now, instead of telling you to talk about it, I'm instead going to give you a little bit of different advice. And I'm going to tell you to take time and face what you feel, because it won't go away when you try to ignore it. I don't think there's any wrong way to feel grief. Whether that be angry or sad or shocked or any of the different emotions that can come up. But I do think there is a wrong way to handle it. For example, I'm in a unique scenario where I experienced two separate, very close deaths to me in the span of about 3 months. In January, my great aunt, who I was very close with, passed away after cancer. And that one I handled it very differently because I was still going to school full time, and I ended up using some very unhealthy coping mechanisms. But what I did end up realizing was that they weren't just unhealthy, they were self-destructive. And at that point, I do not think it is okay. My coping mechanisms were causing me and the people around me more pain. And instead of helping me in any way, they just sort of distracted me to the point of where I didn't think about it, similar to what having work to focus on did, except this was hurting me instead of helping me in the long run. I do think it's important to allow yourself to feel negative emotions and to allow yourself to take time to be sad or angry or shocked or any other kind of emotion or combination of emotions that you may experience. And sometimes while experiencing those emotions, unhealthy and dangerous coping mechanisms are really the only way to make it through them. But I do think it's important to know when those unhealthy coping mechanisms are occurring, and it's important to know that those are unhealthy for you in the long run. What has ended up helping me as I've been having these realizations about my feelings towards it is something that my dad's uncle actually told me at the service, where he told me that my dad would ask me why I was so sad. And at first, it seemed really stupid because, of course, I'm sad. But the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I realized that my dad wouldn't want me to be sad. And I know that that's just my own personal experience, and maybe that's only my personal interpretation of it. But my dad, and I really do think pretty much every person doesn't want other people around them to be hurt. And I don't think my dad would have wanted me having negative coping mechanisms for when I was sad. I know that I haven't really said much despite talking for this long, but I don't really know if there's anything else that I can say. As I'm going through the grieving process, I may make a follow-up to this video and hopefully be a little bit more aware of everything. But I think it's important to get this out as fast as I can while ensuring what I'm saying makes sense and ensuring quality. Only because if there is someone else watching this who's going through something similar, it's important to know that you're not alone. Going through any kind of grief and feeling like there's no one there for you, or you have to always be strong and you can't take that time to really embrace your feelings, it's very hard. And it takes a hard toll on you emotionally. So, if you're going through something, understand you're not alone, because I'm right there with you. And really, that's what I wanted to be able to talk about today, and to kind of get that conversation started, and definitely leave it open, because just like grief may never end, the conversation and coping with it doesn't have to either. So, if you have any suggestions or advice for people who are experiencing grief, please leave them down in the comments below, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.